Good morning, citizens. Welcome back to our craft with the Beta Complex. I'm your host, Comrade, and I'm here today with Jub.
Salutations.
And, of course, myself. Yeah, so...
In case you couldn't figure that out already.
Yep. Exactly. Can't be expecting them to figure out things all on their own. Okay. God.
One of these leads to the end. This one?
So, some of us had a bit of a trip to the end where we got a lot of stuff. So you may have noticed that I now had like a ton of shulker boxes and also an elytra, which
Yeah,
I
by
got.
some of us, he means everyone but me.
No, it was 3 of the 6 people on the server. Do you have an elytra yet?
I've had an elytra for a while. I just never really felt the need to use it because I was... Well, 1, I'm afraid of losing it, and 2, it's easy enough to just cover distance normally.
Yeah, that's fair enough. One of the plans for Caves and Cliffs Part 2 is to build a giant obsidian tower to the sky, which will have a launch point at the very top at build height to yeet yourself off into the sky via elytra. But until then, I'm probably not going to use this elytra a ton, but I thought I would start by going ahead and acquiring the resources to get this fully upgraded.
You wouldn't happen to know, like, what direction y'all went in the end, would you?
We went down Dream Thief's really long bridge out into the outer realms, which, oddly enough, takes you rather close to where the original spawn point is anyway. But if you see land bridges that sort of stretch out across everything, you've gone in our direction.
Right, so I'm going the other way.
That's good enough assessment, I guess. That's a mending book. So, as I already told you, I made hot dogs for dinner. They're pretty classically flavored little hot dogs. All beef, because if you're already eating a hot dog, why would you hate yourself enough to not have an all beef hot dog? But they've got a bit of dill relish on them because sweet relish is disgusting.
I don't think that you need the qualifier for sweet in that sentence. I think you could just say that relish is disgusting, and that would be equally true.
Dill relish isn't great. I just have a bottle of it, and need to work through it. I believe it was for making tuna salad.
Why would you put relish in tuna salad?
Because I was too lazy to cut up pickles.
Why would you put pickles in tuna salad?
Because it goes great in tuna salad.
Pickles are a testament to man's hubris. They looked at the perfectly fine vegetable that God had created and went, I can improve on this, and they soaked it in vinegar and salt.
Yeah. Pickles.
And now humans are too proud to admit that they screwed up. So we just ate it for 6,000 years.
I really like pickles, so I think you are incorrect on multiple accounts.
Just because you have Stockholm Syndrome doesn't mean that my assessment is incorrect.
But there's also other relishes, such as Piccadilly. And by the way, that logic is flawed for this reason alone. That would mean that anytime you cook a vegetable at all in any way, you are messing with perfection.
That's what the vegans believe.
Yeah, and you just espoused it. So how does that make you feel?
Okay, but hear me out on this. Soaking something in vinegar and salt does not constitute cooking it.
Yes, it does. It's called acid cooking. Real thing. It's often used with fish.
Comrade, by that logic, if I just poured sulfuric acid on a steak, that would be a cooked steak. And that's not how that works.
It would be. It would also be inedible.
I think that if something is inedible, that means that whatever you did to it does not classify as cooking. Isn't cooking the act of preparing ingredients to be fit for consumption?
Nope. Culinarily, it's the act of preparing a meal. But it has many other uses.
If something is inedible, does that count as a meal?
Nope, so it wouldn't fit the culinary definition. There's also a hyperbolic definition. You could cook grenades. You could cook up some chemistry.
That's not hyperbolic, that's metaphorical.
Well, I wasn't saying that those were the hyperbolic definitions. I was giving other examples of how to use the word cooking.
You said there are hyperbolic definitions, and then you gave metaphorical definitions. I'm going to call you out on that.
Right, but I never claimed that they were the hyperbolic definitions.
Linguistically, you made a statement, and then you gave examples. So it's generally understood that when you do that, the examples that you give back up the statement and are not just a completely different subject. Otherwise, language breaks down.
There was a comma. In fact, it was a long enough pause. It was kind of a semicolon, which does lead to new thoughts.
Those semicolons are used to join two independent clauses. Those are not independent. That was a statement and a qualifier. Can't do that. You did it again. The implied punctuation in speech. You did it again.
What? I didn't say anything.
Yes, you did.
Not after your last sentence. Anyway, I'm trying to find a book or something. Because we didn't have any books at the...
There should be some empty books in the book chest by...
Yeah, no, I stole all those the other day, so there's none of them. I was gonna put some back, because I only need like 2 or 3.
Sure you are.
I still have 10 of those. But I had to go all the way back to Atlantis to get an ender chest. Why are there no ender chests at the farm thing?
Because I didn't think that that was necessary.
Anyway, taking an ender chest out there. Oh, so what's your coffee for today?
My coffee is just a fairly simple mocha latte, which I have prepared using my maca pot because I don't have a proper espresso machine yet.
Nice.
Plus, I don't think my grinder can even go fine enough to do proper espresso. So that's...
So, what I have done is this thing I really enjoy. And it's starting to catch on all across the U.S. But I haven't tried it the way that most other people are enjoying it. I made coffee and Coke. I took some Coca-Cola and added coffee. Specifically, a shot of espresso to it. You went very quiet there.
Oh, you know, just thinking about some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have efficiency 5? It's looting 3. Most of the people in the U.S. are currently enjoying this because Coke is selling Coke plus coffee.
Every single day.
But I've been making it at home for actually a while now. And it's only my second favorite thing to add to a Coca-Cola.
Did I seriously get no boxes from that?
No boxes from what?
I just killed 2 shulkers and got nothing. No halves, nothing.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Are you using a looting 3 sword?
I'm gonna pretend you didn't ask me that.
I did.
I'm being nice and pretending that you didn't.
But I did.
Yes, comrade, I have enough IQ points in order to determine that the thing that gives you better drops is a thing that you might want when looking for drops.
Yep, that's probably true. Listen, it wasn't an insult on your intelligence.
It felt like it.
Listen, the best of us sometimes forget to do the simplest of things.
Comrade, don't project general population ineptitude onto me.
It's worked in the past. uh. I can feel your rage from here.
I mean, I wouldn't say rage exactly.
See, I would, though. Seems pretty accurate.
Okay, but see, I don't care what you would do.
Who? Who did this?
Who did what?
I had all of these boxes on the bottom of this filled with kelp. And somebody has taken the kelp. What?
I got one shulker half. Killed 8 shulkers.
Sometimes that just be how it do, you know?
I don't care if that just be how it do, though. The only good thing about this is that killing those shulkers fixed my elytra. And I got some diamond boots. How good are they? They're not. That's good to know.
Alright, so this is going to be... This entire episode is only going to be made interesting by us talking. So I apologize if you guys came for the crafts. Which you shouldn't have. But if you did, my apologies.
Don't come here expecting like MLG gameplay, because you're not gonna get it.
Instead, you're going to get me sitting at a bunch of smokers, pulling up dried kelp for XP points, so that I can go make myself a really nice elytra. Which will then be followed by approximately an hour of just me sitting on obsidian and mining. What?
I'm mad now.
What happened to you?
I don't want to talk about it.
But back to my coffee and Coke discussion.
Yes.
The nice thing about coffee mixed with Coke is that the flavors mix perfectly. You have caramel notes from the Coca-Cola and deep bitter tones from the coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how to put this? The coffee loses like all of the acidity of the coffee is sort of masked by the sharp acidity of the CO2 anyway that's in the Coke. So it's not like you're getting anything that you weren't expecting from a Coca-Cola anyway. And it just goes delightfully, makes for a delightfully smooth, high caffeine experience. Because, you know, it's an espresso shot in a already caffeinated drink.
I don't want to sleep ever. I want my cardiovascular system to get a taste of what it's like living as a hummingbird. I want my resting heart rate in the triple digits.
Yeah, listen, it's still not as much caffeine as even a double shot. It does offer a great pick-me-up, just in general. Of course, as somebody who enjoys coffee but but doesn't get himself addicted to it, any amount of coffee is really going to be enough to sort of pick me up.
As someone who is, as Comrade would say, addicted to coffee, no. All right. Well, this end city is already turned around for me because I killed 2 shulkers and got 4 halves. This is already so much better, and I don't know why. Out of all of the things that you've recommended to put in coffee, this one, I'm shocked that I'm not more upset about it than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because from what I do remember of Coca-Cola's flavor, it doesn't actually seem like it would be that terrible of a thing to do. But I haven't had Coca-Cola in...
It's really not. Listen, this... Okay, this got popular in... I think Coke did it in Japan first, who really love their cola.
Yeah, because you can get away with anything in Japan.
But it really caught on in Japan, who, while they are known for weird flavors, generally the weird flavors don't, like, make it big even there. It's just like a novelty.
It's just kind of like, yeah, this is the thing that they produced. Do people actually like this? Not really. But they did produce it. Oh, hey, Shulker. How you doing?
Okay, are we absolutely sure Unbreaking 3 and Mending 1 are all we can put on an Elytra? I just really want to know. Because this is my only Elytra.
Well, I mean, now that you've said that, no. But, yes. It's like, I am certain that that's all that you can put on there, but, like, the way that you phrased it has me questioning now.
Okay, we could also put Curses of Binding and Vanishing.
Oh, thank goodness.
But that's it. It is Mending and Unbreaking. It's Mending, Unbreaking, and the two curses.
the most sought after and theoretically expensive item in the game. I've always wanted that to disappear on my death.
Binding wouldn't be too terrible.
Okay. Counterpoint.
You could have worse things. What? You could have worse things binded to you.
Bound. Yeah, you could. You could. But, hear me out on this.
Oh, I also wanted to put...
Then you would be risking an Elytra everywhere you went.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I need 2 more books of mending.
They're in the chest.
There was one in that chest, and it already got put on an Elytra.
Alright, well in that case you can trade with Villager.
Yeah.
You know. That thing that, you know...
That thing I do anyway. Thought
I hate sprinting across those bridges. I hate it.
Oh, by the way, I should have been recording this, but we fought the Wither the other day.
Oh, you did.
Yes, and you told me that smiting 5 was a bit of an overkill.
It was.
No, it wasn't. Have
Yes,
you
it was.
actually fought that thing, like, legit, not like in a chamber built for it?
Yes.
Smite 5 is absolutely necessary. You have any idea how often we died before I pulled out my Smite 5 sword?
No, I don't.
We died, like, collectively, probably 30 times. That was between, like, 3 people. Dream Thief lost almost his entire netherite kit.
Why?
But to be fair, he's the one who brought netherite to fight the Wither.
I
That's on him.
It really is, because, like... Oh my gosh.
Oh, we also didn't do our all the research because none of us knew that projectiles cease to have an effect halfway through. So I did spend
that's fun, isn't it?
I did spend about 20 minutes just trying to shoot it with arrows. I was a really good shot, and then I realized, wait, they're just bouncing off. And then I looked it up.
Wait, this is doing absolutely nothing.
So I was just like,
Perhaps I'm doing something wrong.
So I looked it up, and I was like, well, then...
I'm gonna... Shulkers, I swear.
I had a bit of a scare while we were searching around, but I was smart enough to have brought what should we call it? Wow. That is the perfect amount of paper for the perfect amount of leather. That was completely accidental. But I got it on video.
Don't say it was accidental. You gotta like take credit for that.
Do you have any idea how often I've touched that paper in this episode? It was a paper stack I'd been fondling and putting back in chest for a while, and then I found the leather I had.
Don't say that.
Then I found the leather I had, and it turned out that 16 pieces of leather is the perfect amount for 48 pieces of paper to make exactly 16 books.
Okay, but like, don't phrase it like that.
Phrase it however I wish.
I mean, you can, but don't.
But I will.
You understand?
No.
Okay, allow me to rephrase.
Oh, there's something I mentioned. Before you get to whatever highly important thing you were going to sling at me before I promptly ignored it. I mentioned that coffee in Coke is only my second favorite thing to add to a Coca-Cola. Because the best thing to add to Coke is like a shot of lime juice.
I think that the best thing to add to Coke is probably cocaine.
Well, see, the nice thing about Coca-Cola is that it already has cocaine.
No, not anymore.
Well, no, actually, so story time with Conrad. um, so so Coca-Cola is allowed to grow coca because it's an important part of their recipe. What they are required to do, though, is chemically spin it so that it doesn't have any hallucinogenic or addictive qualities.
I assure
But
you, Your Honor, the cocaine is a very important ingredient.
but this means Coca-Cola is the largest handler of coca leaves in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remember that while technically speaking,
And
there are no drugs in Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is still the world's largest handler
of coca leaves.
of drugs.
Also, apparently the Aztecs really loved their coca leaves, but they realized how bad it was at getting people addicted to it. So they had to discover a way to make it not addictive, but still have all the qualities of, cocaine, which is what they wanted it for, to make their warriors hyperactive. But they didn't want them to get addicted to it so that they could drop it when they weren't at war. Turns out, if you mix some lime, like the mineral, not the fruit, into coca leaves in coca tea, you get all of the best parts of cocaine without any of the addictive qualities. For whatever reason, it neutralizes the addictive chemical.
You imagine how much testing went into figuring that out? And just how many random things they must have tried. Just to eventually be like, we don't know why. But there's this weird other white powder.
Well, see, they didn't make cocaine. They made coca tea, which is different and less addictive.
Okay, but hear me out, comrade. The way that they neutralize the addictive properties of cocaine was to use a second separate white powder. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
History's weird, man. History is weird.
How do I use your...
How do we what now?
Never mind. I'm figuring this out. I'm being a smart.
Are you?
A little bit.
That's amazing. Keep doing that.
Never mind, I was being a dumb.
Oh.
But
Well, stop that.
Thought I was
That's
being
not
smart.
good for you. Studies show that being smart is 100% preferable to being dumb. Scientists refer to this as the Algernon effect. They don't do that. I have never actually read that book, so don't quote me on that.
I watched the movie.
Any good?
Yeah. If you like depressing stories about for lack of a better term, retards.
Yeah, comrade, because we lack better terms. That's the problem. Absolutely no other terms exist for that. Oh. Hit me, Shulker. Hit me. Get back down, you little. There's a singular shulker left in this tower. Wish there was a better way to get end rods than this.
Is that what you're after? Is it the end rods?
No, but I want them because I'm here, and...
Alright, unpopular opinion. I don't like end rods.
Ah, wow. That is an unpopular opinion. It's odd how many people say unpopular opinion and then just give a completely normal opinion that no one actually cares about.
Isn't it, though?
It's like, I don't care if you hate me for this, but I prefer Coke over Pepsi. And it's like, okay, you and a ton of other people, why should I care?
Everyone with actual taste buds.
Oh, shut up.
Listen, I had Pepsi while I had forsworn Coke the last 3 months. And, it's a perfectly fine drink. And I have nothing against Pepsi as a company. But it is a clearly inferior product.
Those of you listening to this, all three of you that don't know, I don't actually drink soda at all, so I don't care. My parents do prefer Pepsi, though, which... Eh. Actually, now that I think about it, my mom stopped drinking soda, too, a while ago.
Ooh.
Most of my unpopular opinions are on things that very, very, very few people actually care about. So,
Like what?
like, let's see. Unpopular opinion. Number 1, Hunter x Hunter is a terrible show. That one actually has gotten me into some hot water with a few people.
Really?
Yeah. A few people I've talked to actually really like Hunter x Hunter.
I don't have any strong feelings about Hunter
I
x
have
Hunter.
very strong negative feelings towards Hunter x Hunter. Because the main character is... he has no personality aside from being a 10-year-old kid. Which is really weird because he doesn't act 10. Which confuses me as to why they decided to make him 10. And then we've got the other guys in the main cast, which is just discount Sasuke, who with a bleach blonde hairdo. Generic McGenericson, who's there for no discernible reason that I can tell. And the only interesting character in the show is another, like, 10-year-old kid who just happens to be the best assassin in the world. I don't know.
Okay.
I could legitimately talk about how
So
much I
you
hate
mean...
the show.
Alright, so you're saying Killua is the best character in the show. Because at first I thought you were saying that Killua was the Sasuke clone.
No, Killua is the best character in the show. The Sasuke clone is now we're seeing my my deep knowledge of the show in that I don't remember his name.
I don't remember his name either.
He's...
It's amazing that I remember Killua. Because
Killua's the best character in the show. Of course you'd remember Killua. He's the only reason to watch. Starts with an A. Probably doesn't, but... Think, Chubb, think. I'm gonna have to look this up, aren't I? I don't want to, but I'm gonna have to if I actually wanna remember. And by remember, I mean remind myself.
Why?
Hunter. Main characters. Kurapika.
Is that his name?
Yeah. Yeah. But he is... How familiar are you with this show?
I watched the first season or so.
Okay. So...
It has an interesting villain, but he's got a dumb
No.
power.
No, it
No,
doesn't.
Hisoka's kind of interesting. But he has a
Hisoka is...
He's got a really stupid power. It has both the properties of rubber and gum. What in the world does that mean? You just stuck words together and tried to make a power out of it. You don't actually...
You dumb? He just told you what his power is. It has all of the properties of rubber and gum.
Listen.
That makes perfect sense. Don't question it. Oh gosh, yeah. No,
but he's a bit interesting.
Just a pervert clown.
Okay,
he's not interesting.
Listen,
compared to the rest of the cast, he might be the most interesting bit. That doesn't make him interesting.
I have end plate now. Like, actual end plate. It's armor I specifically built to go to the end in. It's iron armor, so it's fully replaceable. But it's got mending on breaking and protection 4.
If you've seen that much of the show, then you probably remember that Kurapika's backstory is that his entire clan is dead and he's on a revenge mission to kill the people that killed his family. So far,
listen,
so Sasuke.
I do listen to Nextaku, who does really like this show, so I knew that regardless of how much I watched.
Moving on.
By the way, kids, if you're under 18, don't go looking for Nextaku. If you're on,
By the way, adults over the age of 18, don't go looking for Nextaku. It's not worth it.
That highly depends on what you want. If you want to watch a guy just be a troll for the sake of being an internet troll, it's pretty entertaining.
Translation: if you want to see a person be a legitimately terrible person, but for the memes.
It's always for the memes.
I don't care if it's for the memes. Anyway, the thing that really irritated me about Kurapika is that his story is legitimately identical to Sasuke, except it's not his brother that killed his family. It's like his family was killed because they have a special eye-based ability where their eyes turn red when they're under extreme stress, and that gives them additional powers. Which is just literally the Sharingan.
No. See, the Sharingan, though, is unbeatable. Since, you can trap people in an alternate dimension and then torture them for however long you want.
No, but see, like, that's the additional powers of the Sharingan. Like,
right,
how familiar...
But once you reach that level... Okay, this is the thing that has always upset me about Naruto, is once you reach that... And it's the exact same problem I have with Bleach. Once you reach that level... How in the world do you lose? It's impossible to lose to anyone who's not Naruto, with an actual...
Guy beat Itachi once by just not looking at his eyes. Which is both really dumb and exactly what Guy would do. You just feel like if you make eye contact with him, you will be like trapped in your own mind and tortured for gosh knows how long. And he went, so don't look at his eyes. I mean, yeah, but like that's basically impossible to do since he's going to be doing everything he can to make sure that you look at his eyes. I'll fight him blind. You'll do what now? I will fight him blind. And he won. Because that's what Guy does.
Is wins.
But no, he just goes, I see that you have this incredibly powerful ability. I will punch you in the face.
I mean,
which is...
Listen, Guy is the best character in in Naruto. But he's only that because Rock Lee got out of commission in the first season. They did my man Rock Lee dirty.
They really did. Like, they set him up so hard and then went...
By the way, this kid... Because Okay, this is what really upsets me about it, is you're writing a story, and the first arc of the story is entirely about how people aren't bound by their what others perceive as their limitations. Just to have the one guy who exemplifies that the most meet his limitations.
The thing is, though, like,
I'm not wrong.
Rock Lee, you kind of are, because like Rock Lee never hit any kind of wall that he couldn't get past. He just never got any screen time.
But he was out of commission for. He comes back for the war arc, right?
Yeah, Rock Lee got absolutely decimated by Gaara, but like that was always going to happen.
Right. But because of that, he didn't actually get any like fights until like the final fight.
No, he fought gosh, what was his face?
Was he involved in the pain fight? I can't remember.
He kind of. He was involved with oof.
And I know I've expressed this before, but Naruto should have ended at the pain fight.
Naruto should have ended at the pain fight.
And as much as people make fun of the pain fight's animation, it was a really good fight.
Yeah, 100%.
And it should have ended right there, because that
Yes.
it was the perfect end, and they went, but money.
Like, it really was. It was perfect. Like,
because he basically,
like Naruto's finally developed some kind of control over his stuff. He's
been accepted by the community. At this point, there is no doubt in anyone's mind that when he grows up, he will be the Hokage. You could do an end cap episode where you show where they are, like, when they're grown up. Show him being the Hokage. You know.
You could have your cake and eat it too. It would be fantastic. And yet... and yet...
Okay, so this is fantastic armor for going out and exploring the end. It's completely replaceable, but it's really good. Like, there's almost no way to get better armor. Protection 4 on Breaking 3, Mending 1. And then on my boots, I also have Feather Falling 4. This is the absolute best armor you can have for exploring the end. Like I said, fully replaceable. It's iron. I can't lose it. Even if I do lose it,
it's iron.
It's iron. We have all these books. It is 100% replaceable, economic, and just really good armor. And I'm basically a tank in it anyway. Because, like, with Protection 4, the only way to get, like, better armor would be, like, at least netherite with protection 2, I think. Or diamond with protection 4 or 5. So it's... Well, no, because netherite and diamond have the exact same protection levels.
Yeah.
So you have to have netherite or diamond with at least protection 4 or 5 on it to get better armor than this. Which is insane when you think about it. You have to have the absolute best armor in the game to have something better than this, and this is fully replaceable. Actually, the real question is, why am I walking towards the end with all of my nice weapons? I got my sharpness 4 axe, my sharpness 5 sword. What am I doing? Which bed at the entrance did you claim, by the way?
The blue one.
Okay, I'll claim the purple one. Alright. Going into the going into the end with 2 shulker boxes and an efficiency 5 pickaxe, ready to mine some of that sweet, sweet obsidian. Man, I gotta love that the Endermen just scream in your ears in the end. Okay.
Very cool, Enderman.
I don't have any haste abilities at the moment, which tells me that I need more. Nether stars. Yeah. I need more beacons.
I need more beacons. How many more beacons?
How many will it take to ensure that every pillar is hasted?
A lot?
Yep, pretty much. But then once I do it, I never have to do it again. No, wait, that's not true. I might. So, with efficiency 5, this isn't actually that.
This isn't actually the worst thing in the world.
It's just bad. I can tell the difference between an efficiency 3 and efficiency 5, especially on Obsidian. I know, like, Obsidian's supposed to be annoying to mine, but it's almost like...
Too annoying?
Yeah. Especially when... Okay, so you can make some pretty cool stuff out of Obsidian, but I really wish that they pulled something out of, like, Terraria's notebook on this, and at least let you craft some weapons or something out of Obsidian. Even if they weren't, like... Let's say you got, like, a really high damage sword out of Obsidian, but it snapped within, like, 3 hits. I think that'd be cool. Anyway, I know you enjoy you and Dream Thief dislike Terraria, but
Yes.
I will maintain that while I like Minecraft a lot, Terraria from a purely game what's the term?
Game design standpoint?
From a game design standpoint, Terraria is definitively better because unless you have friends who are into Minecraft, you absolutely have got to get onto the Minecraft wiki to figure out how anything works. And even with friends who
Oh,
are
yeah, and Terraria's so self-explanatory.
Terraria does explain exactly what you need to know.
Not even close. Dark Souls is more approachable than Terraria.
No, that's not true.
Yes. As someone who has played all of the Dark Souls games and Terraria, Dark Souls is 100% easier to understand.
There was only one thing that confused me in Terraria. And after I figured that out, I figured out everything else. It was literally just how background walls worked that confused me.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep, just that. Everything else came very naturally from the progression of the game. It just flows. They tell you... Well, it's because they have the guide. The guide gives Terraria just enough hand-holding that it's approachable, but not so much that it stifles your creativity. We have to do a Terraria episode of Arcraft.
No.
Even if it's just like an April Fool's episode. Sometime. Just 1 year.
No.
And combat is a lot better in Terraria.
No.
Yes.
No.
No, I will stand by that. Terraria combat is really good.
How can you say something that confidently when it's 100% wrong?
Because there's interesting choices to be made.
No. There's the yo-yo and everything else.
Nah, the yo-yo's not even that good. And I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that. I fully recognize how much people are gonna disagree, but the yo-yo's not even that good. I've had
Alright, I don't even like Terraria, and I know you're wrong.
No. Trying to think of what it's called. Well, okay. And to be fair, I have not ever activated hard mode yet, so I don't know what the hard mode yo-yos are like. But the basic yo-yos, not great. I've come across one that I liked, and I almost always went for a different weapon instead. I really like Terraria bows. I like the ranged weapons. From bows to guns. And when I first started playing, I hated short swords. But they fixed short swords, and now they're a legitimate choice. Because now you can aim short swords in every direction. And they're super fast. So it is actually a legitimate choice now. Because if you're really good with them, they do have a higher DPS than the bigger swords. But when I first started, you never went for the short swords because they used up too much of your ore. And they could only stab right in front of you. But now they can stab wherever your mouse is pointing. I still go with the bigger swords, though. Though, to be fair, most of the time, unless I'm getting into, like, a legitimate boss fight in Terraria, it's, I pretty much just used the pickaxe anyway. Well, because, like,
Yeah,
if you're going
the
through...
thing that's not a weapon.
Well, if you're, like, going through the mines, it's pretty much just easier to not switch and just go with the thing that's already out and deals almost as much damage as the sword that's probably on the same level anyway. And depending if... Because you always upgrade your pickaxe first. So, in, like, mid-game, your pickaxe is probably dealing more damage than the sword you've got on hand anyway. Oh. I will admit that the thing I like most about Terraria, though, is base building. Might have to do sometime I'll have to like show people around my personal world where I have a castle in the sky that I built.
Did you build on the cloud thing?
Yeah, so I went around to the different sky islands, got myself some lucky horseshoes and stuff, and also farmed up a bunch of the clouds, and then I just built myself a sky castle above spawn. Which you do that so that you don't get harpies that constantly spawn on your spy castle. Because within like 100 blocks, no, it's like 400 blocks around spawn in both directions don't get harpy spawns or something like that.
Dang it! The shulker, I swear. There we go. Goodness. Shulkers, man. Shulkers.
Tell me about it.
Fairly certain you know all about shulkers.
I did kill a bunch of them on Wednesday.
Right.
Also,
Like,
on Wednesday, I like how do I put this? I made this joke about going around and exploring after the other two got off and out of the end. And then I actually went exploring around the end when they got off and managed to find a really good end city within 15 or 20 minutes. Anyway, Shadow came back for it. My goal for tonight, even if I have to continue to work past our stream, is to fill up 2 shulker boxes of obsidian. Home life keeps entering and leaving the realm. If I mentioned on here that I got back into Pokemon cards a little bit,
Yeah, you mentioned that.
but for entirely different reasons from why the rest of the internet has got it back into Pokemon cards.
Why has the rest of the internet gotten back into Pokemon?
What?
So why has the rest of the internet gotten back into Pokemon?
So they're after rare cards. That's what they're after. Is
Yeah,
collecting.
that's what they've been.
Collecting again. And that's why so many people have fallen prey to scalpers. Meanwhile, while this is all going on, my folks got some foster kids last year, and they got into Pokemon cards, and so then I was like, well, maybe I should get back into Pokemon cards so I can, play with them. And it's been, oh man, how long has it been? I haven't bought Pokemon cards since Delta Species was the big thing.
Since what now was the big thing?
Delta Species.
I've never heard of that.
My last Pokemon deck was a Delta Species Fellow Grader deck, actually.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
So what Delta Species is, you know what Alolan Pokemons are?
Yeah.
Delta Species was that before Alolan was a thing. So instead of changing the look of the Pokemon, it changed the type of the Pokemon. So for instance, I had a Feligrator, but it was an electric type Feligrator.
That's odd.
It's probably my favorite Pokemon card I've ever had. But that's partly because I haven't owned a Charizard ever.
I was never into the Pokemon trading card game.
My second favorite I've ever had was a Vileplume. I kind of want a Vileplume again. I don't like Vileplume in the... No, that's not entirely true. Vileplume is pretty good in the video games. But there are about 3 other grass types I'd probably go for first. Because Victreebel's better than Vileplume, usually.
Comrades' hot takes.
Victreebel tends to have a better moveset than a Vileplume. And I'm not trying to diss Vileplume that much. It has really good stats. And a pretty good moveset. But Victreebel and Venusaur probably went out on a grass type competition in movesets.
I mean, yeah.
But since I usually go for Charizard as my starter, Victreebel and Vileplume it is for me. But Vileplume is really strong in the card game.
Yeah, I have legitimately no knowledge of the card game. I barely understand how it works. A friend of mine tried to explain it to me once, and it
You
just
know
kind
how
of
you know how
right off
Magic
of
you
my
know how
brain.
Magic the Gathering works?
Yes, and no, it does not function at all like Magic the Gathering.
That was the
Stop trying to
joke.
tell me it does.
That was the joke I was gonna make. It works nothing like that. You know how Yu-Gi-Oh works?
Yeah, it works nothing like that. No one knows
No,
how
no.
Yu-Gi-Oh works.
Okay.
Shut up.
So if you take all of the parts that are Magic the Gathering-esque in Yu-Gi-Oh and remove them, Yu-Gi-Oh is remarkably like Pokemon. um. Oh.
So if you just take everything you know about Magic, forget that. And then everything in Yu-Gi-Oh that's like Magic, and you get rid of that too, then you're golden.
Well, see, Yu-Gi-Oh is essentially the unholy child of both Magic the Gathering and Pokemon.
Yeah, it's
With
mutated.
a
We have
smattering,
no idea what's
with
going
a
on now.
smattering of its own rules. Trap cards are pretty much the only thing unique to Yu-Gi-Oh.
What's the only thing unique to Yu-Gi-Oh?
Pretty much trap cards.
You haven't seen the newer editions of Yu-Gi-Oh, have you?
To be fair, I have not played Yu-Gi-Oh since I had a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck.
Oh my goodness!
I actually had a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck.
I mean, so did I. So did everybody back in the day. Like,
also, I never watched the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. No, I just didn't like it. Which is weird because I really like the Pokemon anime, but now that I'm saying that, I don't think that's super weird that I didn't like it. I don't know.
Well, because the Yu-Gi-Oh anime is nothing like the Pokemon anime.
Yeah.
It's not even like kind of close. They don't have anything in common. But
And this might be the old man in me talking, but Indigo League is superior to whatever most of what they make now. I'd say that, and I haven't watched the latest seasons of Pokemon, which are supposed to be a lot better than some of the other ones. So,
I mean,
I
they
will
definitely
withhold
stepped
judgment.
up their game. The last few seasons were really bad, and then the newest one is a lot better.
Yeah, I've heard Alolan and the Sword and Shield one are like really good. So,
I mean, I don't know all that much about it. I just know that they've definitely gotten better.
Apparently, Ash had a win like 15 years ago that nobody talked about, and then everyone's like, "Oh, he like won his first league in Alola," and it's like, well, no, they did one earlier. You guys didn't make a big deal out of it.
I didn't know about that. I don't know how true that is, but
well, seeing as Matt Pat was talking about it, because of all the
Matt
research,
Pat also believes that.
Because of all the research that he did for a Pokemon episode where he had to watch the entire series, I'm going to wager that he's correct and that there was a win. Back in the day.
Listen, heck if I know about like Ash's win-loss record through the anime. I know about my win-loss record through the games.
Where was I? What was I? Which part of the card game was I busy explaining? I can't remember.
You weren't explaining the card game at all. You were talking about how Vileplume was actually pretty good and how you're...
Oh, yeah. I kind of want a Vileplume card, but that has nothing to do with what I was getting
I know
to.
that, like, there's a kind of fusion thing that you can do to evolve your Pokemon, and you attach energy cards onto them to make them do attacks, and... Like, I understand a little bit. If some cards in my hand and told me to play, I might be able to stumble my way through it.
Okay. Let me put it. No, it's not that you'd be able to. It's not that you wouldn't be able to. You'd definitely be able to. Pokemon is the world's easiest trading card game, and I don't. That's not a slam against it. That means it's highly
also not true.
No, it's definitely true. Do you know any that's easier? Because Magic's not easier. Yu-Gi-Oh's not more approachable.
Do I know anything that's easier? Yes, Argent Saga.
Okay, technically speaking, I don't know about Argent Saga because I've never played it. So I can't tell you that you're wrong.
Okay. Listen, it took me something like an hour the first time that I tried to learn how to play Pokemon to wrap my head around everything. I figured out Argent Saga in less than 5 minutes.
Really? Because Pokemon's really easy. So you have...
I don't know what to tell you, man. Argent Saga is just... It's...
So approximately...
It's a streamlined version of Magic the Gathering.
So approximately... a third of your deck is going to be Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And they will range anywhere from basic to stage 2. A basic Pokemon can be played right onto your bench. Your bench can hold up to 5 Pokemon. A stage 1 Pokemon can be played onto a basic Pokemon of the corresponding type and name. So, for instance, if I have a basic Charmander and I have a stage 1 Charmeleon card in my hand, I can play the Charmeleon right on top of the Charmander.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've got a Charmeleon.
Yeah.
But if I had a Dark Charmeleon, well, Dark Charmeleons can be evolved from either Charmanders or Dark Charmanders. Because it just asks for a Charmander card. That's neither here nor there. Then my different attacks on my Pokemon are going to ask for a certain amount of energy.
And a certain type of energy.
You may only play 1 energy card per turn. And it can be played onto any one of your Pokemon.
This is like mana, but more restrictive, because you have to put it on a Pokemon instead of your field.
Yes, essentially. Most attacks are only going to ask for 1 or 2 energy. Attacks can only be used by your active Pokemon. You must always have an active Pokemon. If there is ever a point where you'd have no active Pokemon, for any reason, and you have no bench Pokemon to move up, I believe you lose. Which is why an entire third of your deck is going to be Pokemon.
Because you do not want to run out of Pokemon.
Your starting hand must contain at least 1 basic Pokemon for this reason.
Do you get a free mulligan if you don't?
You get infinite mulligans.
That's unfair.
Well, you get infinite mulligans as long as you prove that there's no basic Pokemon. You don't get to mulligan a basic Pokemon you didn't want.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought that you could just decide you didn't like your hand and shuffle. That's...
You get infinite mulligans for unplayable hands. Every time you knock out an opponent's Pokemon, you get to draw from these 6 cards that you've put out to the side, called prize cards. If you can collect all 6 of your prize cards, you win. Because you've knocked out 6 of your opponent's Pokemon.
Which is a full team, according to the game.
Yes. Obviously, they take longer to pull out, but stage 2 cards have the best attacks and the most hit points, right? My Charizard's going to have more hit points than my Charmander.
Yeah.
Alright. So, and it's also going to have an attack that deals way more. In fact, Charizards tend to deal somewhere in the 200s on their biggest attack.
Charizards are amazing.
And to put that in perspective, I think the most amount of hit points I've ever seen on a card was about 300.
I don't know anywhere near enough to...
And I believe the one I saw that on was like a Snorlax VMAX or something.
Yeah, that would make sense, because Snorlax is kind of the Pokemon that's like, hey, do you want all of the HP? There for a while, Snorlax was in like every competitive team because he was just such a good stall. No, I don't know a lot about competitive Pokemon. Don't ask me any further questions because I don't know the answers. I do know that because Snorlax was so prevalent, he basically made... I think he made Zapdos meta for a while because it was the only thing that could really deal enough damage in the special category to reliably take out Snorlax with Rest and Giga Impact and all the stuff that he had. I really should get back into playing Argent Saga, but like, I love the idea of card games way more than I like actually playing them. It's like, it's so cool, but I'm just not willing to spend that kind of money.
Okay, so if you want to get into card games but not spend money, you should look into living card games.
Living card game? What do you mean living card games?
That's what they're called.
Okay, yeah, that's fantastic, comrade. What is that?
So a living card game is basically the more user-friendly or player-friendly version of trading card games. Instead of random packs, they have completely non-randomized packs. So everyone knows exactly what they're buying when they buy it.
Yeah, that's just called buying a deck, comrade.
Well, no, because it's booster packs. So you make decks just like in a trading card game. But when you buy a booster, the booster is the exact same as everyone else's booster of the same name.
Okay.
In other words, it's you can't pay to win.
Yes, you can.
No, not in the same way. You can't just buy like 50,000 packs and make a better deck than the person who only spent $100 to buy all of the packs, because he'll have the exact same cards as you and be able to use the exact same number of cards in his deck as you. In other words, there's still rarity, technically, but there's no, like, scarcity in the rarity.
That's what rarity means by definition. You can't have something be rare and not scarce.
I have one called Android Netrunner. That one's actually okay. Android Netrunner is really cool. Now that I'm on this topic, Android Netrunner is a card game which is competitive and asymmetric.
That's what card games are, yeah.
No. You don't understand. It's asymmetric.
Yeah. That's what card games are. You're never gonna find another person that's running the exact same deck as you.
Okay. So basically, it's about hackers versus corporations. One player's playing the hacker, and the other player's playing the corporation. It's sort of set in this, like, tech punk universe.
Mm-hmm.
But we're playing entirely different games and affecting each other. Because one player's playing a corporation, and the other player's playing a hacker. The cards do not mix at all. I can't put a corporation card in my hacker deck. And I can't put a hacker...
I hate this already.
I can't put a hacker card in my corp deck.
I hate this. That sounds so stupid.
We have different win conditions.
You know what this sounds like?
So when I say it's asymmetric, I'm not talking about the decks are asymmetric in that one is more balanced, one is better than the other. I'm talking about they're asymmetric because you're playing entirely different games but affecting the other person in interesting ways.
Comrade, you know what this sounds like?
What?
This sounds like somebody went, we need to find a way to trick people into buying more of our stuff. So we made it impossible for you to play the game with only one deck.
Well, see, that's the thing though with a living card game is when they sell you a pack, it has both hacker and corp cards in it. But everyone gets the same hacker and the same corp cards. And when you buy the base game, you get like enough cards to build. I think I have. I only have the base game, and I believe I have enough cards to. I have 2 hacker decks and 2 corp decks anyway. Or it might be 3. I might have 3 of each. And you have different, there's different corps and there's different hackers that each have, like, their own special ability. So there's even an additional bit of asymmetry there.
Even doing it this way, you're still arbitrarily doubling the necessary cards that you need in order to play the game.
Yeah, that doesn't make it not cool. I really like it. It was technically a birthday present for both me and... Or no, it was a Christmas present, sorry. For both me and my brother. But I was the only one out of us 2 who really liked the game. So he let me keep it. At the very least, the asymmetry is very novel.
I mean, you got me there.
That's really cool to me. I really got off topic because I was explaining Pokemon to talk about some cards that I got.
Yeah.
So I managed to get 2 different decks. 2 different decks before the scalpers got them at my local Walmart. And it was a Venusaur and a Blastoise deck. But they have these new cards called V. They're called V cards. And what they decided to do was, you remember how I was explaining how, you've got to take your Charmander and build it up to a Charmeleon and then build it up to a Charizard?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have, 3 different cards in your deck to, achieve the greatness of a Charizard. Which really, drags out the amount it really slows down the amount of basic Pokemon you can have in your deck, right?
I mean, sure.
Which can lead to some interesting decisions on the battlefield as you're like, well, or not on the battlefield, but while you're making your deck, because you got to be like, I can't just put in a stage 1, a stage 2, and a stage 3, because then I'll never actually, have the Charmander out on the field when I have my Charmeleon, or my Charmander will have been forced to go up and die before I can evolve it to a Charmeleon. So then you've got to put in 4 Charmanders and 2 Charmeleons and 1 Charizard, so that you're not just filling up your deck with stage 2s and stuff. Yeah, they decided to get rid of all of that with Vs.
Oh, joy.
With Vs, right. So now, basically, if you don't have half of your deck made of Vs competitively, you're going to lose. Because what a V card is if you have a V Blastoise, that means your Blastoise is now a basic card.
What?
You don't have to... Your Blastoise is now a basic Pokemon.
No. What they have essentially done is created a new objectively best meta.
Oh yeah. Like I just said, if half of your deck, if half of your competitive deck is not V cards, you're going to lose. But there is a catch. Of course, there's a catch. The catch is if your opponent knocks out this V card, they get 2 prize cards.
Ooh. I get my strongest creatures, but there's a slight risk.
Oh, by the way, this card instantly does... It comes out with an attack that does 200 hit points worth of damage with almost no drawbacks if you've got 4 energy cards on it.
This is why I freaking hate card games.
Well, okay, Magic
was... Companies will just do stupid stuff like this and render obsolete all of the money that you spent before.
Like I said, the Feligrator was my favorite deck because it was essentially... Just an electric Feligrator is kind of a cool concept. And it was a good card. And I had to work for it. And it still only had like 160 hit points. By the way, none of the... Not a single one of the V cards have anything less than 240, I think.
This is dumb.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I hate.
Anyway, games, so now to now to fight the 4-year-olds that my parents are fostering, I now have a double V card deck with a Venusaur Blastoise combo.
You've become the very thing that you swore to destroy.
I never swore that I wouldn't teach kids how to, lose. Listen, the kids need to learn the harsh realities of if you're going to get into Pokemon, some people are going to have more money than you. And in this case, it's your, older brother.
In this case, it's me, because I have a job, and you don't. It's... Trading card games are really, really cool to me in concept.
And then they do things like that, yeah.
But it's not just things like that that really irk me.
Well, okay, so the reason they started to do the Vs is because of Sword and Shield. Because V is sort of the card game equivalent to the Dynamaxing.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, they also had to make Gigantamax cards.
Oh, gosh.
So that's called V Max. V Max cards. And if you manage to kill a V Max card, or knock out a V Max card, I'm sorry, use the Nintendo sanctioned language here. If you manage to knock out a V Max card, you get to draw 3 prize cards.
Which sounds really nice and all until you realize that you're not knocking out a VMAX card.
The VMAX cards have like 300 hit points minimum.
You're not knocking out a VMAX card unless you have a VMAX card.
Pretty much.
What you've essentially done is you've sped up the game drastically, made half of the cards obsolete, and made everything a rushdown deck. which is bad. Don't do that. the
It won't be. I don't imagine it'll be more than about. Oh, Nintendo's gonna defend it for a little while. But it's not going to be more than about 4 years, I don't think, before V and VMAX are sort of banned from the card game.
Good. But for those 4 years,
it's going to be the only meta. If you go onto the official Pokemon card game website and read their deck building guide, they essentially tell you you need VMAX and V cards because they're what's the term? Their example deck has no creatures that are not a V card.
It's legitimately impossible for any other deck to compete with it.
Pretty much.
No, not pretty much. It's legitimately impossible
now,
because
okay.
if you don't get perfect draws.
So this is why they didn't call it Gigantamax cards, is because some of the V cards represent a double team instead of a single Pokemon. So it's like Snorlax and Eevee card, which I'll admit, I kind of dig that as a V card more than just Venusaur comes out with as a basic Pokemon. If instead it's like a rare thing where it's like Eevee and Snorlax as a double team, or and then when you knock out the double team, you get 2 prize cards. Seems more balanced to me.
Oh, there you are.
I mean, okay, they have done things that are similar to this before, called the GX.
Yeah, I remember those.
Which were also super powerful. But the GX moves could only be used once in a game.
They were also slower and more difficult to get out.
There were some basic GX though. But it was like an EV GX or something. But yeah, most of the GXs represented a max evolution, mega evolution. So you could only attach it to like a stage 2.
Ergo, slower.
Slower and had to be in the hand at the exact right time. Yeah.
Which is, how you structure an overpowered card.
I will say, Magic is starting to experience the power creep dilemma.
Oh, starting. Yes.
When I was about, it might have started like a few years ago, but most of the time we've been alive, the power creep for magic hasn't been super bad.
I'll admit it's definitely held its own a lot longer than I thought it was going to. Because there for a while they started... I forget exactly what they implemented, but I took one look at it and said, oh, well, it's dead. We've gone too far. I forget exactly what it was. It might have been the feed cards, but...
The new mechanic that annoyed me the most when it came out, and I'm so glad it sort of died out, was the slivers. I know a lot of people really liked the slivers.
I didn't hate the slivers. I hate metamorphosis.
Well, slivers were annoying because a really good sliver deck was practically unbeatable.
Yeah, but Magic's already always had that problem.
Yeah, to be fair, my dad
have a min-max deck, there's nothing that stops you except another one.
My dad has this really great deck. I think I've told you about it before, but everything in his deck is flying or swamp walk, with the exception of one card, which is the water type clones, which can clone anything. That meaning it has flying or swamp walk.
The only thing that doesn't have flying or swamp walk is the thing that copies other things. And their abilities. I don't know why I prefaced that by saying it didn't have flying or swamp walk, because it does now.
Yeah, so of course all of the sorcery cards that he has in said deck turns his opponent's lands into swamps.
Yeah.
And because of the way Magic deck building works, as long as it has a different name, you can have the same card in your deck. And if you asked yourself, well, how many different water and swamp cards turn things into swamps? Yes.
Strangely, a lot of them. Oddly specific thing for it to be, but
he does have a different enchantment for your lands that causes you to lose 1 health every time you use said land.
So good luck countering my abilities when countering my abilities kills you.
I've only managed to beat that deck once. And I was accidentally cheating.
Oh.
Because, okay, I had this really... It's a really great card. But I thought it was more powerful than it actually was. Oh.
I thought it had an interaction that it didn't.
Basically. So it's called the Experimental Crotch.
Uh-huh.
And it got all of the activated abilities of anything with a 1/1 counter on it. And it itself had an activated ability of... It can give a 1/1 counter to anything if it taps itself.
That's scary.
Okay. That's really good. You know what I missed? And everyone else I was playing with missed for the longest time?
What?
That simple word activated ability. Or activated. We were just giving it all the abilities of anything with a 1/1 counter on it.
Oh, you thought it gained all of the passive abilities, too.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just getting like Flying and Swamp Walk and all this stuff.
Yeah, no, that's not what that word means.
Um, yeah, so I was, it was way overpowered. Um,
As you would expect from an ability it doesn't actually have.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still a really good card,
Yeah,
despite playing it wrong for years. It's a really good card.
yeah, it's still terrifying.
I still
It's
have
just
it. It's in my Simic deck. Um,
yeah,
I've recreated the Simic deck.
all of my Magic cards are in a box in my closet, and I have not looked at them or done anything with them in probably 5 years. I tried to cobble together an Angel deck a long time ago, but Angels are just bad. I don't think there's been an actual competitive Angel-based deck in... Gosh. I don't know how long.
Tell you what, with some of the cards they were making for the recent Ravnica thing, they might be trying to bring back Angels, because some of them were good.
Yeah, I have 2 cards that are 2 Angel cards that I tried to build a deck around, and they're both really good. The problem is, they're both banned, so which always happens to my good cards.
Yeah, so I imagine if Experimental Crotch had actually worked the way that I... And to be fair, like, a lot of people read this card over the years, and none of them caught on to how wrong I was playing it. I think somebody mentioned it once, and I was like, no, that's not how it works, and they were just like, okay.
I was like, it's your card. You'd know it better than I would. I trust you.
It's not like I was it's not like I was playing it wrong on purpose. I
didn't figure that you were.
Just legitimately didn't read the card right.
I mean, it's a fairly easy mistake to make, too. Especially if you're not trying to, like, solve a dispute and you're just kind of glancing at it and be like, yeah, game's what constitutes as active ability? Does that mean it's just always active?
Well,
that would
so
be passive.
It got ridiculous because the deck it originally came with was the Simic Guild deck, and like everything has this ability called, what's it called? I don't remember. But basically, all of these cards are like 0/0s, but they come in with like 5 or 6 different +1/+1 counters on them, and they can just hand these +1/+1 counters out to anything that comes into play.
Do you want an army of tiny things or one huge thing?
But essentially, I was like, whenever I had the Experimental Crotch out, well, it gets all the +1/+1 counter abilities, so it has this ability because this creature has it, and it's, got a +1/+1 counter on it. So Experimental Crotch comes in with 5 +1/+1 counters on it. It's now an 11/6. No, 11. It's a 6/5 normally, so it'd be an 11/10. Just out of the gate.
And all of these abilities.
But I did play it straight, So my one creature that can't attack or block, I was also like, well, Experimental Crotch can't attack or block yet, because this creature can't attack or block.
It's a partial nerf.
But that's fine, because I'll just play 6 other creatures, and now this creature that had that could just hand out these +1/+1 counters is dead because it's a 0/0 in actuality.
Alright, I should probably make my way back to
Alright.
the hub where I
Well,
end up dying.
I'm gonna thank you guys for watching. I know this hasn't, again, been that interesting of a stream if you were in it just for the building, because I've mostly just been mining. Hopefully our conversation was interesting enough. But until next time, thank you for watching. Remember, happiness is mandatory. Bye-bye.